The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. My father's face had frozen mid-rant, his mouth still open from the word job, while my mother's fork hung suspended halfway to her mouth. My brother Miguel's eyes went wide and my sister Carmen actually choked on her wine. Sarah? My assistant's voice continued through the phone speaker, oblivious to the family drama she'd just interrupted. Are you there? The underwriters finished their final review. Quantum Solutions is going public Monday morning at $47 per share. With your 7.2 million shares, your stake is valued at $340 million pre-market. Congratulations. I calmly picked up my phone, taking it off speaker. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll discuss the details tomorrow. Enjoy your holiday. Of course. Oh, and the Wall Street Journal wants to schedule that interview about being the youngest female tech CEO to take a company public this year. Should I confirm for next week? Monday afternoon works fine, I said, still watching my family's shocked faces. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hung up and set the phone beside my plate of untouched turkey. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours but was probably only 30 seconds. $340 million? My father whispered, his voice barely audible. That's just my personal stake, I said quietly. The company itself is valued at $2.8 billion. Let me back up and explain how we got here. For the past 5 years, my family had been convinced I was wasting my Stanford computer science degree on what they called playing with computers. While my brother Miguel built his law practice and my sister Carmen advanced through the ranks at her marketing firm, I was supposedly struggling as a freelance software developer, barely making ends meet. What they didn't know was that 3 years ago I'd founded Quantum Solutions, a cybersecurity company specializing in quantum encryption technology. We developed breakthrough algorithms that could protect data against quantum computer attacks, technology that every major corporation and government agency desperately needed as quantum computing became reality. I'd kept it secret because every time I'd tried to share professional successes in the past, my family had minimized them. When I'd graduated summa cum laude from Stanford, Dad said, "That's nice, but when are you going to do something productive with it?" When I landed my first 6-figure consulting contract, Mom said, "That sounds temporary. You need job security." So I'd stopped sharing. I let them believe I was struggling while I built an empire. Sarah, my mother said carefully, what exactly is Quantum Solutions? It's a cybersecurity company I founded. We protect digital infrastructure against quantum computer attacks. Miguel leaned forward, his lawyer instincts kicking in. You founded a company? How big is it? 3 years ago. We have 280 employees across offices in San Francisco, Austin, and London. Our clients include most of the Fortune 500, plus several government agencies I can't name due to security clearances. Carmen set down her wine glass with shaking hands. Sarah, are you telling us you're the CEO of a billion-dollar company? $2.8 billion as of this afternoon's valuation, I corrected gently. Dad slumped back in his chair like he'd been physically struck. But you drive that old Toyota. You live in that tiny apartment. You never go anywhere or buy anything expensive. I drive the Toyota because it's reliable and fuel efficient. The apartment isn't tiny. It's a 2,000 square foot loft in Soma that I use as my home office. And I do travel extensively just for business. I was in London last week meeting with MI6 about their quantum security needs. MI6. Mom's voice cracked. The British Intelligence Service? Among others. Quantum computing represents the biggest threat to global digital security in human history. Every encrypted system currently in use will become obsolete within the next decade. Quantum Solutions develops the technology to prevent that catastrophe. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. CNN wants to do a segment Monday morning before market open. Also, Forbes is running you on next week's cover. The headline is The Quantum Queen, How Sarah Torres Built a $3 billion Security Empire in Secret. I showed the message to my family. Carmen read it aloud, her voice getting higher with each word. Forbes cover, she whispered. Sarah, this is insane. Miguel was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. 3 years ago you were complaining about not having enough clients. You said you were struggling to pay rent. 3 years ago I was reinvesting every penny into research and development. I lived on ramen and coffee while pouring everything into building the technology. The struggling was deliberate. I was choosing to live minimally so I could maximize company growth. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked, tears forming in her eyes. I looked around the table at my family, the same people who'd spent years telling me to get serious about my career. Because every time I shared good news, someone at this table would find a way to diminish it. When I got my first patent, Dad said it was just paperwork. When I landed my first major client, Miguel said consulting wasn't a real career. So I stopped sharing. The grandfather clock chimed 6 times, the sound echoing through our continued silence. The IPO, Dad said slowly. Going public. That means. It means Quantum Solutions will be traded on NASDAQ starting Monday. It means our technology will have the capital backing to protect critical infrastructure worldwide. And yes, it means I'll be worth several $100 million on paper. Jennifer had texted again. CNBC wants you for power lunch on Tuesday. They're calling it the Thanksgiving Revelation. Texio shocks family with IPO news. Should I decline? I showed my family the message. Carmen burst into laughter. The kind of slightly hysterical laughter that comes from shock. We're going to be on the news, she said. My sister is going to be on CNBC talking about her billion-dollar company, and we had no idea it existed. The media attention isn't why I built the company, I said firmly. I built it because quantum computing is coming whether we're ready or not. Someone needed to develop defenses. I decided it would be me. Miguel was still processing. Sarah, do you realize what this means? You're about to become one of the wealthiest women in tech. You'll be richer than anyone we know. Wealth is a byproduct, I said. The goal was always protecting digital infrastructure. The money just makes it possible to do that work at scale. My phone rang again. I glanced at the caller ID, Director Matthews, and said, I need to take this, I said, stepping away from the table. Sarah, Director Matthews' voice was urgent. Congratulations on the IPO announcement. We need to schedule a meeting next week. The Chinese have accelerated their quantum computing timeline. We need Quantum Solutions' latest protocols deployed across all critical systems immediately. I'll have my team prepare a briefing, I said. How urgent are we talking? National security urgent. This can't wait. I returned to the table where my family sat in stunned silence. The NSA? Dad asked weakly. They're one of our biggest clients. Quantum Solutions protects everything from power grids to banking systems to military communications. If our technology fails, the entire digital infrastructure of the country could be compromised. Mom was crying now. Sarah, I'm so sorry. We've been so wrong about everything. We thought you were wasting your potential, but you've been saving the world. I wouldn't go that far, I said, sitting back down. But yes, the work is important. Carmen leaned forward. Can you explain this in terms I can understand? What exactly does your company do? I thought about how to simplify quantum encryption for a marketing executive. Imagine every lock in the world is about to become useless because someone invented a master key that opens everything. Quantum Solutions makes new locks that even the master key can't open. And every company and government needs these new locks, Miguel said, his lawyer brain working it out. Every company, every government, every hospital, bank, power plant, air traffic control system, everything digital needs protection. Quantum computers will be able to break current encryption in minutes. Our quantum-resistant algorithms are the only defense. Dad looked at his plate, his earlier anger replaced by something that looked like shame. When you were growing up, you were always taking apart computers, always coding. I thought it was just a phase. I thought you needed to focus on something more practical. Those early computers you bought me for Christmas? The programming books? Those were the foundation of everything. I learned to code because you encouraged my curiosity, even if you didn't understand where it would lead. But I stopped encouraging it, he said quietly. When you got older, I started pushing you toward normal careers. I thought I was being helpful. My phone lit up with notifications. Stock market analysts were already releasing reports on Quantum Solutions. TechCrunch had published an article titled, Stealth Mode Success: How Quantum Solutions Built a $3 billion Empire in Secret. The Wall Street Journal was running a piece about the quantum gold rush in cybersecurity. It's starting, I said, showing them the flood of notifications. By Monday morning, This will be front-page news across the financial world. Carmen was reading one of the articles over my shoulder. Listen to this quote. Sarah Torres has achieved something remarkable, building a critical technology company with zero media attention until now. Quantum Solutions may be the most important cybersecurity firm no one has heard of. Sarah, you're going to be famous. Infamous, more likely, I said. The tech world doesn't like surprises. A lot of people are going to be asking why they didn't know about Quantum Solutions sooner. Miguel looked up from his own phone. I'm reading about your patents. Sarah, you have 17 patents in quantum cryptography. These articles are calling you a quantum computing pioneer. 18 patents, actually. Number 19 was just approved last week. Mom reached across the table and took my hand. I need to ask you something and I want you to be honest. Are you happy? With all this success, all this pressure, all this secrecy, are you actually happy? I considered her question seriously. Building Quantum Solutions has been the most challenging and rewarding experience of my life. I love the work, I love my team, and I believe we're making the world safer. But keeping it secret from all of you? That part has been lonely. Why reveal it now? Dad asked. You could have kept the secret even after the IPO. I smiled, thinking about his perfectly timed rant about my wasted life. Because you gave me the perfect opening. When will you get a real job? Right as my assistant called about the IPO. The irony was too perfect to waste. Carmen started laughing again. Dad, you literally asked when she'd get a real job seconds before finding out she built a billion-dollar company. The timing was incredible. I feel like an idiot, Dad said, shaking his head. My daughter is about to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and I was lecturing her about getting serious about her career. My phone rang again. This time it was Dr. Elizabeth Warren. Not the senator, but my former quantum physics professor at Stanford. Sarah, I just saw the news about Quantum Solutions. I'm so proud of you. Do you remember our conversations about quantum encryption being the future of cybersecurity? You've made it reality. Professor Warren, I said, putting the phone on speaker so my family could hear. Thank you. Your quantum mechanics course was what started me down this path. And now you're revolutionizing the field. I'm telling all my current students about you. You're proof that brilliant minds can change the world. After I hung up, silence settled over the table again. Sarah, Miguel said carefully, what happens to us now? I mean, you're about to be incredibly famous and wealthy. Does that change our relationship? It changes nothing, I said firmly. I'm still your sister. I still want to spend holidays with you, still want to hear about your cases and Carmen's marketing campaigns. The only difference is that now you know what I actually do for work. But you could buy anything, Carmen said. You could buy houses, cars, private jets. You could live anywhere in the world. I could, I agreed. But I like my life. I like my work. I like the loft in San Francisco. The only thing I want to change is not having to keep secrets from my family anymore. Dad looked up from his plate. Can I ask about the money? $340 million. That's more than most people can even comprehend. Most of it will stay invested in Quantum Solutions stock. Some will go to expanding our research and development. Some will go to establishing a foundation focused on cybersecurity education. I paused. And some will go to making sure none of you ever have to worry about money again. Sarah, you don't need to, Mom started. Dad's been talking about retiring but worrying about finances. Miguel, you've been wanting to start your own practice but can't afford the startup costs. Carmen, you've been dreaming about that master's program but can't take time off work. Those problems are solved now. The room went quiet again as they processed what I was offering. You'd do that? Miguel asked. Help us with our dreams? You're my family. Of course I would. Carmen started crying. I can't believe we spent years thinking you were the one who needed help. My phone buzzed with a call from my chief technology officer. Sarah, sorry to interrupt your holiday. The quantum encryption demonstration for the Pentagon is scheduled for Monday afternoon, right after the market opens. Are you ready for the presentation? Everything's prepared, I said. The quantum key distribution system is ready for live testing. Perfect. By the way, the team wanted me to tell you, we're all incredibly proud to work for you. What you've built here is extraordinary. After I hung up, Dad looked at me with something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Genuine respect. The Pentagon, he said quietly. Sarah, you're not just successful. You're important. What you've built actually matters. It matters because quantum computing is the next great technological revolution. It will transform everything: medicine, materials science, artificial intelligence, cryptography. Someone needs to make sure that transformation doesn't destroy our digital security. That's what Quantum Solutions does. Mom was still holding my hand. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so sorry we didn't see it sooner. You couldn't have seen it, I said gently. I made sure of that. But going forward, no more secrets. You'll know about the big contracts, the new technologies, the expansion plans. You'll be part of this journey. Miguel raised his wine glass. To Sarah. For building something incredible, for keeping us humble, and for reminding us that we never really know what the people we love are capable of. To Sarah, Carmen and Mom echoed, raising their glasses. Dad raised his glass last. To my daughter, who proved that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the most extraordinary rewards. I'm sorry I didn't believe in you sooner. As we clinked glasses, my phone lit up with a notification from the Wall Street Journal. Breaking. Quantum Solutions IPO oversubscribed by 400%. Stock expected to open at $65 per share, valuing company at $4.2 billion. I showed the message to my family. Carmen did quick math in her head. If it opens at $65 instead of $47, your shares are worth. She calculated frantically, over $460 million. It's still just numbers on paper, I said. The real value is in what we can accomplish with that capital. Quantum Solutions can now expand globally, hire the best researchers, and stay ahead of the quantum computing threats. Dad looked at me with wonder. Sarah, do you realize you've built one of the most valuable cybersecurity companies in the world? In 3 years. I built it because it needed to exist, I said simply. The threats are real and someone had to develop the defenses. I'm just glad I was in a position to do it. As dinner wound down and we moved to the living room for dessert, my family peppered me with questions about quantum computing, the IPO process, and what came next for Quantum Solutions. For the first time in years, I could share my real work, my actual challenges, and my genuine excitement about the future. One more question, Carmen said as we settled into the familiar chairs where we'd spent countless holidays. What's the biggest challenge facing Quantum Solutions now? Scaling fast enough, I said without hesitation. Quantum computers are advancing rapidly. We need to deploy quantum-resistant security systems across thousands of critical networks before those computers become powerful enough to break current encryption. It's a race against time. And you're winning that race, Miguel said with obvious pride. So far. But the moment we stop innovating, stop pushing forward, we lose. That's why the IPO matters. It gives us the resources to stay ahead. My phone chimed with one final message of the evening, this one from the CEO of Google. Sarah, congratulations on the IPO. We need to discuss expanding our partnership. Quantum Solutions technology is exactly what we need for our quantum computing initiatives. Let's talk next week. I showed the message to my family, who had stopped being surprised by the parade of Fortune 500 companies reaching out to their sister. Google, Dad said, shaking his head. My daughter is getting personal messages from the CEO of Google. It's the technology they want, I reminded him. Quantum Solutions solved problems they couldn't solve internally. As the evening ended and we prepared to leave, Mom pulled me aside. Sarah, I need you to know something. Even if you hadn't built this incredible company, even if you were still the struggling freelancer we thought you were, I would still be proud of you. You're brilliant, you're kind, and you follow your convictions. The success is wonderful, but it's not what makes you special. I hugged her tightly, feeling tears I'd held back all evening finally surface. Thank you, Mom. That means everything to me. As I drove home to my loft in the city, my phone continued buzzing with interview requests, partnership proposals, and congratulations from colleagues around the world. But the messages that mattered most were the family group chat that had started. Miguel, still can't believe my sister is going to be on the Forbes cover. Carmen, I'm telling everyone at work that my sister is a quantum computing genius. Dad, I'm proud of you. Sarah, I always have been, even when I didn't show it well. Mom, we love you. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Monday morning, I stood on the floor of NASDAQ watching Quantum Solutions begin trading as a public company. The stock opened at $68 per share, valuing my stake at over $490 million. But as I rang the opening bell and watched our ticker symbol light up on screens around the world, I wasn't thinking about the money. I was thinking about the quantum computers being built in labs across the globe, the critical systems that needed protection, and the team of brilliant engineers and researchers who would help me secure the digital future. And I was thinking about my family who finally understood that sometimes the biggest risks really do lead to the most extraordinary rewards. The work was just beginning, but for the first time in 3 years I didn't have to do it in secret. That made all the difference.